Hello, everybody. I was doing some other stuff and I almost forgot to start the live stream. But here we are. Uh, how's everybody doing in the dark days before Christmas? Uh, I had a rough week. I worked and worked and worked and worked. But yeah, we got everything finished. And this morning I had an opportunity to have a lie in, and I woke up at 5 a.m. So let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Hello, Martin. Hello, Richard. Hello, Samantha. Hello, Eddie. How nice of you all to join me in this F1 news episode of my Saturday night live stream. I made 5 screenshots of different topics, and if I go through them too fast, then you guys can bring up some topics that we can discuss. Why the hell am I still hearing myself? Because there was quite a bit of news this week. Some cheating allegations already. Eddie wants to know if I got all my shopping done already. Samantha went into town to go shopping today, and I bought a few bits and bobs online. So it's going to be delivered. But we're actually going to England to Samantha's sister. She lives in the north of England, so it's going to be nice. Looking forward to it. I haven't been in England for years. So I'm just going to chat for, say, 5 minutes. And then I'm just going to start on my content. Hello, Hank. If Hank's here, we can start. How was your week, Hank? Busy? Ay, ay, ay. I have a new video idea as well. It's a video I make almost every year. Well, I did for the last 2 seasons. It's the 3 races Max Verstappen should not have won in 2025. And I done one for 2024, and I done one for 2023, and they were all pretty successful videos. Hello, Vegas. Lots of potential in the DRS that isn't DRS. Yeah, they called it MOM for a while, but they changed they simplified all the names, and I think it's the overtake button now, or extra deployment button, or I'm sure Crofty and Martin Brundle, they will explain it about 50 times every race, just so everybody gets it. Good morning, Marie. How are you on the other side of the world? Is it nice and summery there? Because we're in the middle of winter. Ah, good, Hank. You don't need to be busy anymore. Stress is bad for you. Polish Eddie says, "Oh, nice, lol. I was gonna ask if you're going to England or Londonistan. For some reason, I've always spent time up north in England. So Liverpool, Manchester, Sheffield. I've been to the south of England once, and that was the airport, London Gatwick. That was it. But yeah, the north of England is nice. You know, I saw a little video today of a lady saying good morning to people in the north of England, and everybody said good morning. And then she did it down south in London, and everybody ignored her. Oh, Marie has fabulous weather. But isn't it strange to have like summery weather and then a Christmas tree? Because, you know, all the Christmas movies, they have snow, you know? Oh, thank you, Samantha. It's always silly season with Wimbo. Okay, let's go to the first of the slideshow. Portimao to make a shock return to the F1 calendar with a 2-year deal for 2027 and 2028, directly replacing a Zandvoort. Um, well, a lot of Formula One fans are really happy with that because it's a proper Formula One track. Now, I I've got ADHD and I find it hard to remember directions, and um, I find it hard to recognize all these different tracks. So, especially for this live stream, I watched the race highlights of the 2021 Portuguese Grand Prix. It's a race that Lewis Hamilton won and Max Verstappen was second. Max set the fastest lap, but it was deleted because of track limits, because there was one turn where everybody kept going wide. And lots of overtaking on that short straight. And yeah, a lot of people really, really like the Portimao track. So maybe I can do a poll. Is Portimao a good F1 track? Yes. No. Oh, thank you, Martin. Thank you for your contribution. Did I make a mistake in spelling? I meant a good track, Vegas. But I'm sitting here typing across my microphone, so it's not a goo track. You know, it's not a track covered in goo. Okay. Hello, Carno GB. Thank you for joining my stream. Samantha eats her scones the Cornish way. Yeah, Martin. Happy holidays. So, I have to sit here because so people can see me. So, what do you guys remember from the Portimao track? Like, have there been many races there? Maybe that's something I can Google. How many F1 races have been? Okay. Yeah, we raced there in 2020 and 2021 because there was a gap in the calendar um, because of COVID, and that's why they yeah there was no restrictions there or something, so they raced there twice. But I don't know who won in 2020. Hank says Portimao does lack a heavy braking zone. Maybe with the new cars, it's better. Okay. And Marie wants to know when they did race there last, and that was in 2021 when Hamilton won. Um, Max doesn't like it because it's too slippy. And Richard says lots of elevation changes, if I recall correctly. Polish Eddie, that safety car pileup that was in Mugello, in Italy. That wasn't in Portimao, unless there were two. Um, um, Polish Eddie says when Grosjean was screaming on the radio that they're trying to kill them. Maybe I'm confused then, because I don't recall that. Martin says nice circuit, gorgeous environment. Yeah, Richard, you're right. It was Mugello. And Hank agrees with you, Richard, that there's lots of elevation changes. I did a funny race review on the Mugello race. You know, when concertina effect ruined people's careers. You should look it up after the stream. Okay, let's go to the next slide on the slideshow. Okay, this guy Rob Myers, he's a real cunt. He's the biggest Max Verstappen hater, biggest Lewis Hamilton lover on Twitter. He has a huge following. But anyway, I picked this news bit because more people were talking about it. Ferrari needs to move past evaluating and make the decision. Adami is not up to the task. Give Lewis a new, competent, and responsive race engineer for 2026, please. So, yeah, obviously, when Lewis Hamilton doesn't perform, it's the car, it's the president, it's the CEO, it's the cars, or no, it's the regulations, and now it's also his race engineer's fault. So Fred Vasseur hasn't ruled out that Adami is going to be replaced. Now, I don't know if you remember a couple of races ago when there was a bunch of Lewis Hamilton fangirls and they were standing there putting up their middle fingers to and cursing Adami. But yeah, that's just how it goes. Um, it's not Lewis Hamilton's fault. It's the engineer's fault. Now I have to say that at Ferrari, a lot of strategy stuff goes wrong, and the clown meme sitting at the Ferrari wall is used quite often. So maybe they do have a point, but that yeah, like for some reason, I find that if anything goes wrong with certain drivers, their whole race is doomed. Whereas if Charles Leclerc or Max or Alonso, if if they get a puncture earlier on, and they have to change the strategy, then they can still get a good result. And Max, like in Spain in 2022, he had a DRS that didn't work for a while, and they just put him on a different strategy, and he still won the race. Um, in Brazil, Max had a puncture, so he couldn't go on his hard too long, and yeah, they make up a new strategy, and they tell him what lap times to pull, and he does it, and he still gets a good result out of it. And for some reason, with Lewis Hamilton, if anything goes wrong, then yeah, the result is out the door, and it's everybody's fault. Like, there are issues at Ferrari, but um, I don't think you can blame it on Adami, and I don't think a new race engineer is gonna save Lewis Hamilton's disastrous 2026 year, because you can write this down. 2026 is going to be just as bad or even worse than 2025, because the car and the new regulations are gamey as hell, and these kids with their sim experience, they're gonna apply the extra energy and the boost and the batteries and whatever and all the nonsense they have. They're gonna apply it way better than the old guys, and that's why Lewis Hamilton is gonna have a shit year, and he's gonna leave the sport at the end of 2026. You heard it here first. Okay, let's go to the chat. Polish Eddie is still talking about Mugello. That's where Max went off at the first turn because he had a bad start. That was in the days when Honda just didn't have the mapping correctly for a good start, and Max ended up in the middle and went off track, and he was really angry. Mugello 2020. Watch my funny race review about the concertina effect. Richard says his audience will shrink if he's a Max hater. More and more people are liking him. You're talking about Rob Myers, yeah. Yeah, you can tell, like, a guy like Spanners. He's a massive. He used to be a massive Max hater, and he shifted to being a Norris fan and a Piastri hater now. Because for some reason, if you're English and you want to make it as a content creator, you need to hate. Hank says, I came across some Team LH fans about this topic. Yeah, the Adami topic. It's a big topic. Richard says, Adami is not a strategist. No, that's true. Marie says, it must be difficult when you don't speak their language, referring to Sir Lewis Hamilton. Yes, but you see, all the way, not last year, but when it was announced in 2024 that Lewis Hamilton was going to Italy, they said, yeah, he's learning the language already, and yeah, but Sebastian Vettel spoke fluently Italian by the time he got there, and Charles Leclerc as well. But yeah, it's hard learning a new language, especially if you're 40. I've noticed that myself, that I don't remember all the new words and stuff. It used to go a lot easier. Hank says, no, he was also Sainz and Vettel's race engineer. Yeah, that's true. Marie says, it's got to be bad when Max feels bad for him. Yes, that was a nice thing of Max to say, but obviously, Team LH didn't agree with what Max said. It was like, well, who the hell asked him? We don't need his sympathy. So yeah. Martin says, I feel for Hamilton. You don't want to see a great racer have a season like that, no matter how one feels about him. Yes, well, um, I actually don't mind because I just it bugs me how much hype is made, you know, before a season. Um, because everyone knew it wasn't going to be realistic for Lewis Hamilton to knock it out of the park from day one in Italy. And you know, at Sky Sports they did a special podcast when the announcement was made that Lewis Hamilton was going there, and they said, "Oh, it's going to be difficult," and Leclerc's a good opponent, and they named all the stuff that was difficult. And then on top of that, they all said that he was going to be world champion with Ferrari and he was going to win loads of races. So yeah, like people were naive in their with their blinkers on, their fan blinkers on. So I don't feel sorry for Hamilton. Like he's getting a massive paycheck, a paycheck that he wouldn't have got um, if he stayed at Mercedes. And yeah, he he needs to do better as well as Ferrari needs to do better. Okay. Kernow says Oldham just needs to get on. He always had good cars. Exactly. Um, Richard says Cameron turned into a Max fan as well, though he was already turning before the season. Yeah, that's true. But you find that these content creators they notice that praising Max will get them more clicks and more views. So they're steering in that direction. I mean, Sky Sports is even praising him, and Autosport as out of 50 drivers in every category, they picked Max as the best driver in the world. Marie says, appreciate your insight, Wimbo. Oh, Hank says, sorry, I don't feel for Hamilton. He has enough dominant cars, and he only clinched 7 world titles with those. Yeah. Vegas says, what's that on top of your tree, Wim? Off topic, but I noticed. Okay. There was a time when Samantha was into crochet, and she crocheted a face hugger from Alien. um, because on top of being a Formula One lover, I'm a movie lover as well. So this goes on top of my tree. Richard says Hamilton is the luckiest driver in history of the sport, so I don't feel bad for him. Exactly. Polish Eddie, it's the face hugger from Alien. Hank says, when you get sympathy from your competition, you know you're done. And Martin says, mate, we should all ignore Team LH. The crying will never stop. That's true. Eddie says, I vouch for Cameron. He has been a true fan of the sport since the 90s and has been on the Max train since 2022. Oh, I don't understand what's happening here. Hmm. Thank you, Sir Vegas. Um, I I was gonna do when I did the battle podcast for a while. I was gonna have an episode with F1 Unchained, vouching for Alonso, and Cameron vouching for Lewis Hamilton. But it was in the summer period, and everybody was going on holidays, and I was going on holiday, and then it got really quiet. All the videos performed badly. Um, so we didn't have like a date set, but we would talk about it at the end of July or something, or in August. And then I kind of forgot to text him. And then by the time I thought about organizing it in September, it was too late. And yeah, I decided not to do any more of these podcasts because my channel it's not appreciated. Like if I get a big creator like Tomo in and you only get 2,000 views, then there's no point. But unfortunately, I never got to talk to Cameron privately because he is a very good creator. He does all his stuff live, and he's a much better yapper than I am. I love his creative use of language. He does that really well. So yeah, I sent him a message to say sorry, but yeah, never got a reply. Then again, he's also very busy. So um, like I was doing these podcasts to network, but I think I lost some people in my network thanks to the podcast. So that's why I've stopped doing it altogether. Um, yeah, that was a bit off topic. Samantha says, haha, thanks. There's also Aunt Bethany's fried cat from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and a Grinch. Um, yeah. Oh, the Grinch is stuck, and here's the cat. Okay, let's go to the next slide. What's this? Oh, yeah. This is Max's overtake in Imola, which was voted the best overtake, best action of the season by the FIA and F1. Um, yeah, that was amazing. That weekend, Max Verstappen started by slamming his steering wheel because in free practice, that car would not work. He was that frustrated. And then usually what they did on Fridays was send all the information over to England, to Milton Keynes, and the boys did a lot of work overnight, and then they got the car together again. And Max qualified in P2 or P3, and yeah, he just had not even a super start, but he just stepped on the brake so much later than everybody else, than Oscar Piastri, and he just moved past him without going off track or any contact or anything weird. And yeah, that was the move that won him the race. Now, I don't want to spoil my next video, but there's a good chance that this race is in the 3 races that Max should not have won. Okay, let's go to the chat. Hank says, agendas didn't align. I get it. And Gentili says, there's too many podcasts, perhaps. Well, that's the thing as well. Like, a former friend of mine, he started a podcast with another former friend of mine, and they've been at it for 2.5 years. They've got 500 subscribers. Their podcast gets 600-700 views each time, and some people enjoy it, but to me, that's sort of, I could use that time of organizing it and asking people to come on my podcast and editing it and uploading it and all that. I could use that time to make a better video, you know, and that's just what I'm going to focus on. Um, there's another podcast called the DRS Train podcast, and those guys are really good creators with lots of subscribers. But when they do a podcast together, they get 1,000 views, and that's it. Now I don't know what they're doing on Spotify and all the other podcast listening platforms. I don't know that how well they're doing there, but I doubt it's going to be a lot better. So, Marie is happy with my tree. I'm also happy with my tree. But that's Samantha's job. She's Christmas crazy. Eddie says, that was an amazing moment. It won Overtake of the Year at the FIA prize giving ceremony. Exactly, and that's the topic. Hank says, it was a great overtake and very unexpected too. Yes. So one of the many highlights of Max this season. But yeah. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Ooh, this one's spicy. Mercedes and Red Bull may have found a grey area engine trick for 2026 worth around 15 horsepower and 0.3 of a second per lap. Well, the rules limit compression to 16.1 or 16 to 1. They reportedly found a way to run closer to 18 to 1 without breaking regulations. The FIA is aware, but it's too late to change the rules before Australia. So, I'm not much into the technical side. I think Henk can probably add a little bit to what I'm saying here. But apparently, the engine is a certain size, 16 to 1, and due to expansion when the engine is running, probably by heat or something, they get closer to 18 to 1. And that makes the explosion of the fuel bigger, which gives them more power and more speed. And at this time, the FIA can't do anything about it, because when they measure the ratio, they do it when it's stationary. And yeah, if you comply with the rules when the car is stationary, then yeah, during the race, it's they can't measure it during the race. But yeah, this bodes well for Mercedes, McLaren, Williams, and Alpine, because all four of them have Mercedes engines, and it bodes well for Red Bull and Racing Bulls, because they have their own Red Bull powertrains engine. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it's actually true, because I haven't seen any of the major. Actually, the race did a video about it, but yeah, it's not 100% confirmed yet. But we're gonna find out when the testing starts, which is very quickly. I think it already starts in February. Eddie says, "Hey, I just saw that the F1 animated video came out yesterday where they make cartoons of different team radios and F1 commentary into something funny." Yeah, I saw that too, but they do that every year. Um, yeah, Samantha liked it too. We watched it together. And Marie says, "Already finding loopholes, for fuck's sake." Yep, that's Formula One. I love it. And Martin says, "What I mean, it's too late to change rules. They tend to change the rules mid race." Um, no, I don't think they can just change the way they measure certain things just because of a hunch. Um, that would turn all the teams upside down. So um, I understand that they can't change it like that. Hank says the Red Bull powertrain employees are a lot of Mercedes employees, so it's no surprise they came up with the same loophole. True. And Martin says loopholes are part of the game, Marie. The game. Never thought of it in that way. The development race is also a race. So you have a race on track and you have the development race, and yeah, like Red Bull came back this season because they kept developing. And Vegas says technical directives. Yes, but um, those take a little bit longer to implement, I think. Oh, sorry, Martin. I missed the sarcasm. That happens sometimes. Okay, and this is the last one I have. Official. Max Verstappen confirms his race number for 2026. Number 3. Yes. So Max always wanted number 3, but when he entered Formula One, first somebody had his name, Ver, which was Vern. So he had to race with Ves, and he had to pick 33, which at the time he said 3 is his lucky number, so 33 is double lucky. But now that Daniel Ricciardo is out of the sport and he's great friends with him, he asked for permission from Ricciardo and the FIA to change his number to 3, the number he always wanted. And I think it looks cool. It's a cool looking number 3. And there's a few more changes on the grid. Well, actually, there's only one new number. Does anybody know who's going to race with? Oh, does anybody know what race number Arvid Lindblad is going to be using? That's a question. And Lando Norris has chosen to take the number 1 as a world champion, which I think is great because I love traditions, and I think it's a great tradition to take the number 1 car or the number 1 if you are champion. Like I didn't like it when Lewis Hamilton didn't do it because, you know, he thought 44 was more on brand. But yeah. Marie knows exactly what I'm talking about. 41. That's the number of Arvid Lindblad. Lonely Cyclist. I am so mad. My favorite cap is now not valid anymore. Been wearing it for the past 10 years. Yes, well, you know, the Verstappen store will sell a whole lot of new merch. Like I have the one, and I have the 33. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of nice. And see, when you look back, 10 years from now, and you see a race, and it's like, oh my god, Max was still racing number 33 then. And then you look at another era, and it's like, oh, this was in the time when he was driving car number 3. And then you look at it, oh, this was the period when he had number 1. And like, oh, this was in the period of 5 years when he had the number 1 again. That would be nice. So, how do you guys feel about the number 3? I don't mind it. Yeah, Vegas is laughing about the merch. That's today's F1. Merch, merch, merch. Like, I did a podcast this summer with that guy who went to 20 races or 24 races. He went to every race for £20,000. Um, but he always visits the official F1 store stand when he's at the races. And the most expensive one was in Abu Dhabi, where they charged $181 for a Lando Norris McLaren shirt. That was the most expensive all season. Marie loves number 3. Eddie loves number 3. The Lonely Cyclist says it's his favorite number after all. Vegas says 3 is fine. And Martin says, yeah, I probably failed to for capitalism and shell out for a 3. Yeah. You know, if you don't give me anything in the live stream for a couple of weeks, then you might have the money for a new Verstappen number 3 t-shirt. Valentino Rossi started the clinching to the own number. He's even using it now in WEC GT3. Okay, I didn't know that. I know Valentino Rossi is MotoGP, one of the most successful drivers there. But yeah, I don't follow stuff on 2 wheels. Actually, I don't follow any other motorsport because I did hear about that NASCAR driver crashing with a small plane with his whole family in it. That's rough. So, guys, do you have another topic, or do you want me to go on Twitter and see if I can find something else? Yeah, I'm reading here that Lewis Hamilton says there's not a single thing I will miss about these cars. So a lot of people started hating this regulation, but even Max was happy to get rid of these stiff cars because he said if you take an X-ray picture of my back, things probably won't look good. And that's something the FIA didn't realize when they made these cars with ground effect, where the wake of the car was blown over um, the cars behind it, so following could get better. That ground effect needed these cars, the ride, to be that stiff that they bounced all over the place. So yeah, it's something they hadn't figured out. I believe the new regulations have a lot less ground effect, and they focused more on having a nice ride, a softer ride. So, um, Marie says Lando is the world champion. Max won more hearts than Lando ever could. Well, that is a great topic, and especially in the weeks after the championship, uh, when Max wins a championship, you know it's buzzing for weeks. But Lando won the championship, and it felt like after 2 days, the hype for Lando Norris winning the championship was gone, and all we're seeing now is Max Verstappen highlights, Max Verstappen news this, Max Verstappen news that. Um, like he is the main character of Formula One. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, Lando Norris has that title. It's something all the drivers dream of, and they probably don't care how they get it, and he got it. But I doubt he'll win another one because if you let it get this close in such a dominant car, the next year you're in, and it's even closer, you're not gonna win it. There's just no way. Um, Here, Samantha says, Hankopedia strikes again. Martin says, Adam Norris was probably a subject last week. Now we can touch on what he said. Um, Adam Norris was probably feeling a little bit cocky after his son won the title, and he talked about how other parents didn't make it to Abu Dhabi because they've given up already. And he also said that nobody remembers the number 2 in 10 years. I think those were two digs aimed at Verstappen and Verstappen's parents. Yeah, I thought it was a bit childish because um, I do remember 5 or 6 um, drivers that finished second in the last 7, 8 years. And got once in. Hey, thanks again, Vegas. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I always get a little bit awkward when I get super tanks, but I really appreciate it. You know, I'm going to invest in even more equipment and better and stuff to make my videos even better. Brighton RC Brothers. Evening, brother. How nice of you to join. Okay, what was he talking about? Yes, I was talking about Adam Norris. He was probably feeling a little bit cocky and confident that, you know, he felt the need to say these things. Um, we didn't hear much from him all season because thank you for this super sticker, Marie. I love it. 10 New Zealand dollars. I never had any of those before. Um, yeah, so he shouldn't have said these things. It's yeah. Like Adam Norris should have had a big mouth when Norris was trailing Piastri by 34 points because his son was bottling so much, and he should have been so cocky when Max was only uh, 2 points removed. No, it wasn't 2 points. It was 12 points before before the Abu Dhabi race. After Lando Norris finally had it done, that's when he started talking. Hank says Adam Norris speaking about the non-remembered number 2 is true most of the times, but not the number 2 of 2025 though. No, that's true because he's very much Max is always a topic. Let me see if I can find something else to talk about. Okay, okay. I don't know if you guys follow Daniel Valente. Let me see if I can share this. Okay, so this guy, Daniel Valente, he's also on Threads, Hank. You'll probably like his stuff. The 3 longest streaks of consecutive podiums finishes during the ground effect regulations. Max Verstappen 15, Max Verstappen 10, and Max Verstappen 9. That's amazing, isn't it? Like how consistent somebody can be. Hey, Martin, I hadn't thought about that, but Lando Norris did finish second last season. So it was a bit of a self burn then. Okay, Hank, it's good that you know Daniel Valente already, but I want to recommend him to all the other people in the stream as well. So, guys, we've got 5 more minutes left. Anybody got a topic they want to discuss? Like I said, I'm preparing the video of the 3 races Max Verstappen should not have won. That'll be out after the weekend. I'll probably record tomorrow and then do a bit of editing. I'm going to take my time for it because I want it to be a good video with a good thumbnail. I'm not in a rush. And then next week I'll be in England, so I won't be able to do a live stream unless I do it on my phone. But I'm not promising anything. But I suppose everybody needs to celebrate their Christmas as well, But then again, I don't want people to get lonely either. So I'll see what I can do. Oh, the chat's got really quiet. Hank says, I don't like Threads that much anymore. I've been called all kinds of nasty stuff there. Yes, but you like a good debate. And then if you tell people the truth, then they get nasty. But don't worry about it, It's just a bit of text. Marie says, we have opened a world-class go-kart track. Scott Dixon and his son were there for the opening. A little bit of New Zealand trivia. Okay. Yeah, Scott Dixon is a really good IndyCar driver, isn't he? But didn't he have a bit of a fallout with Max Verstappen fans for saying something, or was that Scotty McLaughlin or something? Eddie, the editing software I use is called DaVinci Resolve. It's a very heavy editing program. It's free. It's a free download. But I had to buy a Mac to get it running. And it's very intimidating at the start. It's very complicated. But there's so much content out there on YouTube to learn it, like, DaVinci Resolve for Dummies, that you start using it, and within a couple of months, you can edit simple videos, and then, yeah, if you want to learn, you get better and better at it. Like, I watched a video of myself from a year ago, and I can see that I'm still improving. So, um, if you ever download DaVinci Resolve to do your rap battles videos and stuff, then let me know, and I can point you in the right direction. Hank says, "Don't worry, Wim. We'll survive. It makes us appreciate the regular streams even more." Okay. Last year I did a Christmas karaoke episode. That was cringe. Well, Eddie, I went to a computer store, and this guy said he would build a PC for me from the ground up, but it will cost me like 800-900 euros, which is, well, almost the same as dollars. Um, and then the Mac Mini was 600, and then, yeah, the monitor and the keyboard were cheap. So, and I was never a fan of Mac, but now that I'm using it, I've never had a virus. If I download something, it's on there within 2 seconds. It's always running fast. Um, like, I've been using it for 2 years now, and I have not have had a single problem with it. Knock on wood. Whereas my Windows laptops, after 3-4 years, I have to do a factory reset to get everything going again, and there's always shit on it. So, yeah, I was never a Mac guy, but now that I have a Mac Mini, I love it. Really? Really, Martin? You use DaVinci Resolve on a Dell computer? Okay. It needs quite a bit of power, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a computer tech whiz. Right, everybody. I think I'm done with the stream. I want to thank everybody for your contributions. It's always welcome. And if I don't talk to you before Christmas, then I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And I hope to see you before the new year. I promise I'll do a live stream as soon as I'm back home again. So, everybody, take care now, and doei doei.